What?
Well, it wouldn't be the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk without some sort of technical difficulties. Welcome to, we're blowing the dust off of stuff all over the place here because it's been, we've been sitting kind of inert for the last,
2 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
3 weeks because the volleyball gods do not see fit for us to be able to indulge ourselves. Although you've been out catting around with other shows. Yeah, other shows. The almost a what were you talking about? You had almost 900 views from your other show.
Actually, last week we had 1,100. This week we're getting there. I don't know. We're probably close to 1,000 by now.
Well, now we're gonna instead of the Maz, you are now Matthew, the sports slut Maseracchio.
Hey, I don't mind it. I
Say
don't.
hi to talking to the microphone.
What's going on, folks? Boy, I got some stuff to get off my chest this morning when it's my turn. So let's get the niceties out of the way.
When it's your turn.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday.
You have a turn.
Well, you know what I mean when it's my turn to get started. So I just, I'm not quite there yet. I'm still trying to get it all in, take my breaths, because I got a lot I want to go over.
Oh, well, I mean, hey, you can take your time all you want because you can stall all you want because I'm trying to get our frames in order here and it's really nuts. But, yeah, baseball season started, obviously, because what else is he all worked up about?
Yeah, baseball season.
And
oh, yeah, football stuff, too.
We got tons of football stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. You saw, I'm saving little things for you. You saw part of our little intro, Pittsburgh Steeler fans checking the internet and checking TV and the sports news every day. And it's got to be especially bittersweet for you because I know that you are such an Aaron Rodgers fanboy. I mean, it is a bromance of all bromances.
Posters everywhere. Yeah.
How do you feel? It's like,
yeah, I just love Aaron Rodgers.
It's like having a Sean Gibbs poster on your wall there in the 70s.
What's making this so much easier for me is that I know that every day that passes, we're a day closer to a new regime in Pittsburgh. None of the moves that they're going to be able to make moving forward are going to make a difference.
Sorry, I need a drink of water. I was a little salty.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, people are saying he's holding the teams hostage. He's not. If he was a good quarterback, he would have already been taken. So, unfortunately, the teams that were left in the race, the last two teams, were the worst two offenses in all of football. So, wouldn't the irony at this point be that an aging quarterback with very little in the tank refuses to go to those two franchises because he thinks that they're below his standard, whatever his standard is? He may be right. Rodgers played well the last 10 weeks of the year. He had decent numbers. But, again, so many questions with Rodgers at this point. Commitment level, how healthy is he going to be? He's, 42 coming into this season?
He's 100, yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things there. And, again, the last few years, even when he's been healthy, we know the numbers. He's not a top-flight quarterback at this point. Those years are gone. That being said, the Steelers directionally, I don't go to the computer every day looking for something different because there won't be anything different. It's the same shit every day. It's waiting and waiting and waiting, and it just continues to prove the point about how inept this regime with Tomlin and now the OC, and it makes no sense. I found a graphic a few days ago that the Steelers over the last 6 seasons have the third worst offense in football.
Holy crap.
Collectively, okay? This is not last year. This is not 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I said 6. 6 years, third worst offense in terms of net production. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern.
That's with 2 different OCs.
That's 3 different OCs. That's a pattern, okay? That is something where you can easily point blame to and correct. but instead you gave him another contract. You extended him. So, like I've said consistently, 2 more years of this, and then it's over. So we'll ride it out, and we'll get there through mediocrity, because that's what our success is based on. And that's it. That's the Steelers. So, yeah, I'm not the guy in the meme worrying about what we're doing, because I know the writing's on the wall.
Well, and this is the support group portion of the program where we all go, yes, yeah, yes, yes. I mean, it's the same with me, because I know Dolphin fans everywhere are going, where's the beef? We're like the old lady in the '80s Wendy's commercial. Where's the beef? Where's the beef? We got like a couple of guys. We got another guy. They went and got another injured guy in Daniels to play left guard. Okay. They're so confident in him, they went and re-signed Eichenberg. All right, which I still haven't had my chance to get a good bitch in about that. But your team, you say 2 years. I feel better about my odds that I've got 1 year. I've got 1 year left, because this is a make or break year for that brain trust. Because Ross, as much as we shit on Stephen Ross, he's an owner that does open his pocketbook. He does write checks. He does want to win. Okay, you look at all the crap that he's got built in and around that circus that is Hard Rock Stadium now. With Formula One racing and tennis, and don't be surprised if indoor golf takes off and his buddy Tiger Woods builds an indoor golf place there too. We'll get a Pop-A-Shot, whatever. Okay, but the guy, he likes to win. He likes money. He likes events. He's a big shot. He's also 5 feet tall. He's a friggin' midget.
Yeah, he's got some, what is that, short man syndrome
Whoa,
there with him.
Napoleonic like crazy.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, believe me, I've been within 5 feet of him several times, and he has several bodyguards that are the size of our current floor guys at the double D.
I believe it.
It's all 6'7", 6'8", but wall of humanity. But I like the rest of everybody. We're anticipating the draft coming up. You are over there praying offensive line, right? You want an offensive lineman, right? That's it.
This particular draft is pretty deep for running backs as well. I
Really?
could see us going into the second and third round and getting a running back. Obviously, losing Harris or getting her.
Right. Well,
trading
listen,
Harris.
you have your choice between two Ohio State running backs that are both monsters. Okay, they're both they don't run a 4.3, okay, but they run a 4.5, and they weigh over 200 pounds, and that's what your boy likes. He likes big backs that can bang, and that can catch, and they can both catch. So you got second, third round, you got a plethora of running backs to choose from there. But your first round draft choice, you want offensive line.
Jackson Dart, quarterback.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's where they're going to go, because I don't think ultimately, even though we're banging on Rodgers, banging on the
Breaking
Steelers,
news.
I just don't feel like at this point that Aaron Rodgers is going to come to Pittsburgh. I still think it's all smoke and mirrors at this point. I don't think he's going to play. Honestly, I think he's going to retire. But that being said, I think the Steelers go for Jackson Dart. That's been the name that's been thrown around. Maybe a back end first round. The Steelers may even try and go up a few picks if they really feel like they need to get him. I think that's going to be the guy. That would give me a little bit of excitement for the player. Again, environment is everything in sports. We talk about this especially in football.
He's got a cool name. His last name is Dart.
Yeah, Jackson Dart.
His first name is Jackson with an X.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
J-A-X.
It's pretty cool.
So, yeah, Jackson Dart.
So Jackson, if he does get drafted by the Steelers, just has to survive the next 2 years. Just has to get out of this regime and then get into a situation, a better environment with an offensive-minded coach and an offensive-minded OC. And again, just hopefully a franchise in a different direction. But we'll see how that goes. So I feel quarterback in the first round.
You feel, well, I'm a little gassy, so I'm going to say Malachi Starks, safety, Georgia, about as much of a lock of a good player you can plug in and play right off the bat.
Yeah.
He might make a few rookie mistakes the first 3 or 4 games of the year, but I've seen the kid operate the last 2 years. Okay, that's pro quality right there.
Yeah.
That's a guy that can go. And then I think because this draft is so deep in interior offensive linemen and second tier tackles, offensive tackles that can move inside the guard, I still think you can go in the second, third, fourth round. They have 2 fifths, the Dolphins do. So you can go late and still pick up quality guys.
Yeah, no, I think the Steelers are on the same track.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to build the offensive
And
line.
leave the tight ends alone, for crying out loud. You want to run a flyer on a tight end? Run a flyer on the tight end. Go get Jason Taylor's kid in like the 5th or 6th round. Don't sit there and grab anybody in the first 3 rounds. You handle needs, immediate needs. Does Chris Greer know his job is on the line? I think somebody had to have told him.
I don't know.
But anyway. Okay, so
Well,
group therapy is over.
wow. And we're going to rip some sports right now, both of them, baseball and football. I guess we can start.
We don't have to transition away from football yet, because
Okay.
there's something going on actually today in the NFL, the owners' meetings
Oh,
and the
yeah.
competition committee.
Yeah, and some rules are going to be in place.
Rules.
Yeah.
We don't need no stinking rules.
This is one of the rules that I actually read a few nights ago. We talked about it on Friday on the other podcast. The NFL is looking to.
Go ahead, promo it. Go ahead, just say it. And you guys don't go on a regular basis. It's either Friday or Saturday
It's
night.
been Fridays consistently.
Yeah.
Fridays at 9. So one of the rule changes is for the ability to challenge penalties like pass interference, like illegal hands to the face, like certain penalties.
I
Now,
already agree.
you can challenge the penalties once the penalty flag has been thrown. You cannot call a challenge to see if there was a penalty made. So the infraction has to be recognized by the officials, and then at that point you are to either challenge that or not challenge it, depending if you agree or not. Again, the NFL is proactive in their ability to want to make the product better. I get it. Every year there seems to be at these manager meetings rule changes and stuff. Some get through, some don't. The kickoff's one of the more recent ones that we've seen. Again, people are on both sides of the fence with that one. Yeah. I don't know. For me, at some point, you got to let the players play, right? I mean, I'm always one to think that you make the people involved better. You make the referees better. You make the umpires better. You make the line judges better. You train these guys to the best of their ability. You pay them what they deserve to get. You incentivize their performances. There are so many things that are in general business practices in life that people do to make these situations the best they can be. You're not going to get to perfection. You're never going to get to 100%. Once you lose track of that idea that you want to make every call the right call, you want to make every decision the right decision, that's not how the world works.
Right. Well, and listen, this is high stakes shit we're talking about here. This is pro sports. These are multi-billion-dollar worth franchises. These are organizations that are worth hundreds of billions of dollars and responsible for hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue. But, and you know, one thing that I've seen, you talk about making the players better, and one thing that I really love that I've seen in the last 15 years, when we were kids growing up, watching sports in the 70s and 80s, okay? Referees in the sports were always these old dudes that could trot all day, or still had pot bellies, gray hair, okay, and I'm sure that once they got to the point where they had these guys on microphones, the NFL was like, oh, we got to put these guys on TV now?
Well, what happened is the focus became the referees. So you started looking at these guys more.
Well, not the focus, just they started garnering more screen time as far as a show business sense is concerned.
When I say focus, I mean in terms of the mistakes.
Right.
When you have game-blowing calls, which I want to also discuss.
Right.
That sort of
or
thing.
Or non-calls.
Or whatever the case. Again, blaming a referee at a time in a game, usually the end of the game, very typical, where a call goes against a team and then they lose the game.
Right.
My pushback on this, and let's just go by examples. Let's say it's a basketball game. And there's a bad call at the end of the game, and a team wins.
Right.
My first question is, the losing team, how many turnovers did they have in that game? How many missed free throws did they have in that game?
I know statistically there's other factors that factored into the end, not just one play.
Okay, but that seems to be the focus.
But the one play has the highest impact on the outcome of the game.
At that moment.
But my point is that back in the day, there were these old guys. They might have been sharp guys, but they were in their 50s and 60s. They were bankers and bank presidents and lawyers and stuff like that, okay? And they loved football, and they were in good baseline shape to hump up and down the field for 3 hours with these guys. But they were missing calls. They were missing very obvious calls. And as coverage got better, these guys needed to get better. And then along came Ed fucking Hockley.
Yeah, he was a beast.
Okay. Deesh! Okay, we're talking about a guy who, when he showed up on TV, and especially when you had Pat Summerall and John Madden, he would come on the screen and Madden immediately, oh, and there's Big Ed Hockley. Oh, look at this. Oh, I bet he spent a couple of minutes in the gym today before the game and probably going to go after the game too. Look at it. You know, it's just, he was always
Ed Hockley's.
But I tell you what, Hockley's crew, all jocks, all jacked guys, all with college pedigrees in sports. And I mean not just sports, I mean like multiple sports, like lacrosse and soccer and basketball and football, all at the same damn time. Okay, because not everybody can make it to the show. Okay, but people have something to contribute, and it also happened with basketball. Because you looked at all these basketball, especially on the collegiate level, you had basketball referees. These guys were out there. They'd have to put their walker away before they went out and stood on the corner and blew their whistle and threw their hand up. Okay, and now they're all jocks. Now they're all guys that can go. They're all guys that you know that, hey, we want to run a 5K? Sure, let me stretch a little bit. Give me a glass of water. Okay, try to keep up. Yeah. So the referees had to become jocks themselves. And I think that raised the level of officiating. Okay, that raised the level of the quality of play, but there's still the human element. And that's the reason why this new rule that's coming into play, you can't throw your red flag and create a penalty when the referee didn't see the penalty. Okay, that's going to be a little problematic. Now, my question is, in the course of a challenge, you see a different penalty. Are you going to then change your flag, change your penalty to a different penalty?
The rule change is not allowing coaches to referee games.
Right.
It's only if a penalty has been thrown. And then they see the fact that they either disagree, obviously have to disagree with it, and then they change it if they find out that it was a mistake.
Right. Well,
so that's all it is. And I don't know how many they get. It may be a limit. Maybe they'll give them one per half.
You challenge pass interference, okay? And instead of it being the classic pass interference, it's just illegal contact. Do you then change the penalty to a different penalty?
I don't know the depth. I don't know the depth of
I
this.
have questions.
There are rule changes. There are many. There are managers' meetings, like you said, that have taken place. So
it's like a German knock-knock joke.
In the next week or so, we'll hear from whatever they've decided at that point. But
knock-knock.
Who's there?
We will ask the questions.
So anyway, I'm driving in this morning. I'm thinking about what we're going to talk about. And if you saw any baseball yesterday, I think the Yankees just hit another home run.
You're going to let the tush-push thing go.
Well, no, we're going to go on that too. We're going to go back to it. This is the whole rule thing. I'm going to bring up the fact
back to rule. Everything's got to come back to baseball.
Yeah, it's rules for both sides. We're going to hit on both things that we talked about. Baseball, certainly, this is really going to get me started. And then football, we'll come back from break. We can go back into.
I'm just tormenting you and dangling baseball in front of you, keeping it right out of your reach, though. But go ahead.
So the Yankees hit 9 home runs yesterday.
Woo-hoo.
Okay, it's a record for them, second most, I think, all time. So we're tied for first, some shit. That's not the point. You look at that and you think, well, the Yankees are going to win the World Series. They're so dominant. Well, let's get into the pitching side of what happened. And I found out that every one of those pitches, all 9, were between the 84 miles an hour and 91 miles an hour. That was the Milwaukee staff. That's not going to cut it. Every guy throws 1,000 right now in Major League Baseball. And again, insanity, the definition is doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same result. If you're giving these guys off-speed pitches in the zone, or you're just not cutting it with your heater, these guys, they're major league players, okay? They're going to dominate you, and they're going to make you look really silly. And that's what the Yankees did yesterday. So that is an indictment on the Milwaukee Brewers pitching staff as well. You won't see that again this year from the Yankees, where they're going to hit 9 home runs. And what I love about baseball...
It was an ambush.
Let's talk about the good things about baseball. Baseball is a sport that is surrounded by statistics and records that have gone on for 120 years, as long as the sport has been around.
I'm going to take a bathroom break. I'll be right back.
Yeah. The beauty about baseball yesterday, got another record. Okay, this record was the Yankees saw 3 pitchers to start that game and hit 3 home runs. Never in baseball has there ever been 3 pitches and 3 home runs.
Were they the same pitch?
Well, let's get into that's wonderful. Wow, turn on the TV and you get baseball glory. Now, let's talk about where baseball fails. I'm driving in and I'm hearing a story about how Anthony Volpe, shortstop for the Yankees, a high draft pick, was struggling over the last so many years. Maybe didn't get to his full potential. And they broke down his swing, and they found out that that most of his contact comes about 2 inches below the sweet spot on his bat. Now, you know the shape of the bat, pretty atypical. We've been seeing
The
it for the
barrel.
last 120 years. They call it the barrel, yes. Now, the bat has specifications, diameters, weight, all this other stuff. So take this into account. But Yankees, being proactive and smart, put their guys in a lab and said, can we create a bat that's going to maximize Anthony Volpe's swing, going to allow him to be a better ball player? Okay, we're going to change the equipment, and we're going to make him a better ball player, as long as we come within the specifications of Major League Baseball and how we design this bat. So they did so. Anthony Volpe gets to the park with a new bat yesterday and hits 2 home runs. Now, it's a small sample size, okay? Maybe he would have come to the park that day with a regular bat and hit 2 home runs. But I'm going to say this, that when you're making the equipment better to therefore make the athlete have better performance, to me, that's no different than steroids, right? Now, baseball was good with steroids for a long time, so clearly they're going to jump on this train for a while and ride its successes.
What steroids?
But again, let me restate that. Anthony Volpe, who's been a professional baseball player for several years, been playing baseball ever since he was a kid, has been using a baseball bat that everybody else used. Okay, he got to where he was using that bat. He's a very good ball player.
Type of bat.
He's a ball player.
Not
He's
that particular bat.
the bat that everybody's been using.
Right.
Okay, he got to the big show using that bat. Okay, the same bat that everybody is using within those specifications.
100%.
But now instead, what the turn has been made for Major League Baseball is that they are making the equipment better. They've designed this specific bat now where the design of it, and I wish I had a picture to show you, but you can clearly see the differences, is that there is a larger sweet spot in the area in which he supposedly makes contact most of the time. Anthony Volpe goes out yesterday and hits 2 home runs. Okay, back to full circle here. At what point are we going to allow these sports to just be sport? Okay, we're trying to bring perfection, as we do in life, into sport. We're trying to do it in terms of right and wrong in the game. We're trying to do it in terms of performance in the game. We're trying to do it in terms of how we view the games now, because now everything's on a pay service, so they think that's better. Have people pay for a product where they once got it free before.
Yeah, but you had to get up and go somewhere and then sit someplace weird in front of a bunch of people.
It's called a stadium.
But now you can watch it in your underwear.
I know. Well, again,
all day.
You have to have an attempt to make your sport better. I get it. And technology is going to...
I have sat and watched the Red Zone all day in my underwear more than a half a dozen times, but I'm just saying, all day. But go ahead.
The technology part of this, I mean, what's the difference, for instance, if you gave a football quarterback in football, better vision, special glasses that would
you can make a visor thing out of that. Don't Elon Musk will figure that out. Watch out.
But again, when does it end? Where you're now, instead of training the athlete, you're perfecting the equipment the athlete uses to maximize his ability. I have a real problem with that.
Apple just came out with one right there. See, you had to say something.
For me...
We had like 15 people watch this thing, and one of them happened to be an Apple IT exec guy from R&D.
When you are trying to... I mean, you accused me, but you call me a purist. The definition...
Accused you.
You purist.
Yeah,
well, that's my point. It's too strong of a word, but...
Purist.
Somebody else has to have a problem with this. So I'm driving in, I'm listening to 2 general managers in the game, Jim Duquette and Jim Bowden. Very well-respected guys that have been in baseball.
The Jims are really, really good.
A long time. And they're praising this to the point where Jim Bowden, ex-general manager, brought up a story about a player he had, Daniel Lewis or somebody years ago, that had a similar problem Volpe has. He just couldn't get it on the sweet spot. Amazing ball player. And he said he wished he had the ability and the technology to make that player better than what he was. And he's good with it. So basically, you're making artificial players, essentially, by giving them equipment that makes them better. It's like Thor with his hammer. What is Thor without the hammer? Okay, the hammer is a piece of equipment. Thor's the man.
Okay, you're gonna go down the geek rabbit hole. Remember what Odin said. One of the last things that Odin said. Okay, said, "Are you the god of hammers? No, you're the god of thunder." Okay, so no, they're not the god of bats. They're not the god of hammers. You're right. You're right about that. So go ahead.
There's so many examples I can use. Like, when is it going to stop? What if the technology gets so good that every time the offense gets the ball, they score a touchdown?
Well,
You know, then all of a sudden you're going to have to make the defensive technology catch up. And when does it stop? When does the focus get back towards making the athlete better, which again through technology can all be done? All these guys are now swinging bats from the age of 3. They're all getting specific training from coaches and athletes, and they have access to technology that the athletes even 15, 20 years ago never had. So that that itself is giving these athletes today an advantage that the guys, even in the last generation didn't have. But yet that's not enough. And baseball is good with it. They're like, yeah, we're good with it. We're good with the fact that you've manipulated a piece of equipment to make your athlete better. We're just waiting for the rest of the teams to catch up. Totally not right. Totally against it. And, again, one more thing. The argument is, well, baseball said it's legal. It fits within the specifications of the bat. How do they know? Like, they haven't come across this specific change before. So now, because somebody was smart enough to get into a loophole to keep it within your already pre-established specifications, maybe those specifications weren't designed for this piece of equipment. How about that? What about the hardness of this particular equipment? Let's use airplanes for an example, or race cars. The point of a race car is to make it as light as possible. Why? To fit within the weight restrictions. But yet, that technology continues to get better and better, and the weight doesn't increase. Well, why can't you use that for a baseball bat? You're in the specifications, but yet now that same bat, instead of the average ball hit 400 feet, now it's hit 450 feet. That's a problem.
Standardized or uniform standardized specifications for equipment. This is what you need to have, and you need to make it a very narrow and bland scope. Period. Full stop. Close the box. Mic drop. Full stop.
Yeah, that's it. You have to. When these sorts of things come up.
Everybody gets a stick. It's got to be the same stick.
That's it. With slight modifications.
Okay, it can have a different color.
Or maybe you tape it differently, or maybe the pine tars can go to a certain point, the whole breadth thing.
Then you're starting to stray from the uniform. I got a stick, I got a glove, I got a ball. Your glove cannot be this huge umbrella that you catch balls with. The ball cannot be rounder and bouncier or softer or harder or whatever.
Okay, right.
Okay, uniform standards for equipment.
Yeah.
And you have to narrow that scope, and that is it. Okay, no corking, no chalking, no weighing, no lightening, no nothing. Listen, I said this before. Okay, George Brett's not even dead, and he's rolling in his grave. Okay, somewhere Sammy Sosa's going, you can do that? I didn't know you could do that. You can do that? Okay, but and I'm darker than he is now. So
yeah, you are.
You're right. Uniform standards, 100%. But that being said, now you've introduced science, and now baseball is going to have to adjust. The same way that they're adjusting to science, the way that they're starting to use laser-sighted strike zones. I agree with that. For accuracy's sake, I agree with that. Okay, because there's how many times we've seen so many nuanced calls by referees.
I'm okay with that right now.
Umpires,
but
nuanced calls.
But I think, and they won't do it, is they're going to have to slightly expand the strike zone.
We don't have to worry about an umpire's strike zone. We could give a shit about what your strike zone is now, Jerry West or whatever his name, Chip West, whatever it was. Joe West. Is he still working?
Yeah, him, Angel Hernandez.
Joe
West
Hernandez
is done.
Is still working?
No, Joe West is done. Angel Hernandez and CB Buckner are the 2 worst rated.
And they still work.
Still working. Still got jobs.
And they wonder why their TV numbers are down.
Yeah, still got jobs.
No more nuances. Yeah. No more. You don't have a strike zone.
There was a game early in the year where Buckner was behind home plate where he had 21 missed calls. No, 21. So, okay. Then get rid of him. Get rid of the umpire. Train him better, pay him more. Again, there's ways around that.
Those guys have gotten to be better shape guys too.
Yeah.
With a job that involves a lot of standing around, Okay, they've gotten to be in better shape too. But yeah, you're right. 100%.
Yeah. So this
You
is
get no
something.
argument out of me.
This is something that obviously I'm going to keep attention to, and it's new. It just happened yesterday, and again, the league is okay with it to this point.
The wound is fresh.
I am sure there are other people that are thinking the same way I am, that are in baseball, that will probably have something to say about this and certainly take a better look at it. It struck me in such a way I can't be the only one. It can't be.
It can't just be
No,
me.
there's no way, not in this situation. So, and again, I'm not saying small sample size that Volpe hit the 2 home runs because of the bat. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it had something to do with it. We just don't know how much. And everything else that I've talked about just makes too much sense for this to not be a problem. Because this was the first attempt. And if he even got marginal success at the first attempt to really make an effort to make technology, make the equipment better, what happens at the next attempt? What happens at the 5th attempt? How much better are they going to get at making the equipment that much better? So, right? First company tries, they do it at 80%. Second company, they're at 90%. They found a way. Well, then 3 companies down the road, they've perfected it. So now what does Anthony Volpe hit 3 home runs instead of 2?
That's it. Everybody gets to use steroids and HGH.
I mean, when does it stop?
I want to see a guy hit 104 home runs in a season, and yeah, I get it.
When does it stop?
Okay, when does it stop? How about here? How about we take a quick break and we come back and you can grind on some more crap.
We talk about the tush push.
Yeah, we'll talk about the tush push. We'll even talk about March Madness.
Sure.
Because we're down to the Final Four.
We are. Florida got by, luckily, on a little late shot.
Yeah,
I heard last night. Yeah.
And as much as it's leaving a bad taste in my mouth, but I'm going to say nice things about the University of Florida.
Wow.
Yes, on the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk, right at this. And now, a message from our good friends in golf.
Come on, man, this is taking forever. What's going on?
Dude, my wife's watching from the clubhouse. I'm trying to line up the perfect shot here.
Are you kidding me? You don't have a horse chance in Utah hitting her from here.
You're probably right. You know what?
Ouch! I concede. Well done.
We live a pie on our day. We live a pie on our day.
Yes.
Well, in there.
We better get going. God knows what the team is doing with just Farmer Fran watching them.
Digo que están Bobby Boucher on the field, corre rojo y reclamación Bobby Boucher está ahí.
Gonzo Radio. Oh, such a highly inappropriate conversation during the break. Welcome back to the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. Yeah, man, let me tell you what, if you guys could hear what we were talking about on the break. So, despite our NSFW conversation on the break, things have been really fun for spring break here in South Florida. A lot of the kids that were usually going to Miami and busting shit up decided they were going to go to Fort Lauderdale And Fort Lauderdale PD and BSO said, we don't think so. So have we turned into those old men of you kids get off our lawn?
It's been a few years. I think I've been there for a few years already. Yeah, it's maybe there's just such a lack of trust in the youth. I know it's always been there. I mean, every generation probably looks back and goes, God, these kids. But I mean, I don't know. I
thought we were savages. I thought when we were kids, we were absolute caveman morons. I thought we were lunatics. And then you look at these kids, these Zoomers, and before them, the millennials even. And it was just like, here, hold my beer.
Yeah, there's a lot of craziness right now in the youth, and I just think it's just lost. I think a lot of the kids are lost. I mean, we can get into a whole show about
I partied a lot.
Family structure not being
Right.
there,
Well,
lack of fear of discipline, lack of respect for authority. That's a large part of this.
And let me tell you, and I've done my share. I've done your share. I've done everybody's share, okay? And I've been very fortunate that I haven't had to be court-ordered rehabbed, didn't get a criminal record, no illegitimate children, no STDs, knock wood.
You know what the differences were, I think, too?
I
when we
came
were
through
kids?
unscathed.
Is we planned better. Because
Right.
we were afraid of getting.
100%.
Because we were afraid
Thanks,
of getting.
I was getting right there.
Because
Go
we
ahead.
were afraid of getting caught.
Yeah.
Because we were afraid of the authority.
Not even afraid of getting caught. We did not want to get caught.
Well,
we didn't want to be bothered with it.
Well, again, fear for me was important because I had a father that was
And
going to
our
whip my
parents
ass.
would punch us in the face.
Thank you. It's the fact that we
You
knew
need
we
a fucking timeout, or you don't get to use the credit card this week. No.
that we would have things taken away from us that we valued. See, today,
I have glass ashtrays thrown at me. Who are you kidding?
that the kids today, youth of today,
Full glass ashtrays.
they have no fear. They have no fear of repercussion. They feel like if something is taken away, they can just replace it with something else. And so they don't. The things that they have. Okay, this makes sense now. The things that they have so many things now.
Oh, they got more stuff.
That
Oh,
each
100%.
of those things have lesser value. And what that means is that if you lose something, if you have 100 items and each one is worth a penny, then you lose a penny, you still have 99 cents. When we were kids, we had 3 things. And each of them were worth $1 million. So when you lost $1 million, you lost a part of your life, right? It was your
when
car.
I had hair, it was my
Yeah.
comb.
So that's part of it. But again, today, these kids, there's no fear of authority. There's no fear of repercussions. They have no parents at home ready to wait for them to kick their ass like we did. So it's just totally different. So good for these kids today. I'm glad the cops got out ahead of it because they don't want any problems. There's businesses down there that have, trying to make a living. And these kids would come down there and they're not bringing money. They're just bringing mayhem.
Yeah, and
it's not like they're bringing business. So it's just mayhem and mess.
We all had that.
Not
Okay,
interested.
if there were 8 to 10 of us, there was always one guy or girl that was just like, yeah, and then boom, and they do that, and then they get back up and then boot and rally and do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, we had one person. Now it's flipped. Now you'll have 8 of them doing that, and then
One driver.
One
Yeah.
driver who's standing around.
Going.
He or she is never
Yeah.
just like, you're not getting in my car like that.
On his phone or on her
You're
phone the whole
You're
time.
gonna barf all over my seats. You're not getting in my car like that. You go ride in the trunk.
No, you're not getting in my dad's car.
My dad's
like
car
that.
like that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So
more or less.
it's inverted. So I am glad that spring break. Listen, we put 500,000 kids on Fort Lauderdale Beach, and there weren't riots. We put 500,000 kids on Fort Lauderdale Beach.
Oh, it'd be
and
fatalities.
nobody got raped.
To today, there'd be fatalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
drug
unbelievable.
overdoses. There'd be fentanyl
Alcohol
deaths,
overdoses.
alcohol,
It's
crime.
It's amateurs run amok.
Yeah. No direction.
Okay. Period.
No direction.
All right, God damn it, stay off my lawn while you're at it. Now back to this tush push thingy. You kids and your pushing tushes.
Why are these leagues now? Let's pick on the
God
NFL a
damn
bit.
it.
Why would the NFL, in your mind, consider changing a play? Because this is one play. Okay, one play. Now they're in the rules. Otherwise, they would have been flagged for it on every occasion they attempted this. There's no offsides. There's no illegal formations. There's no illegal passing, forward passing. It's a play they designed. It's called the tush push. Eagles do it better than everybody else.
Right. Well, the first time I saw this, like really done, like 3 years ago, I said, that's illegal. That's aiding and carrying or some shit like that. You cannot grab a ball carrier and progress them down the field, whether it's from the front or the behind. That's what I understood the rule was. But guess what?
But you've seen that all.
You can do that.
But you've seen that all the time. You've seen the extra push for a first down. You've seen guys get piles and the pile move.
3 years ago, case in point.
It's the same thing.
Robert Hunt, guard for the Dolphins. Okay. They're in on the 3-yard line, 2-yard line, and he gets turned around, short yardage run over him. Okay, he gets into this guy, gets turned around. Running back hits him dead in the chest. He suplexed the guy into the end zone. He went and yoked him into the end zone. Touchdown.
Yeah.
I thought that was, being a Dolphin fan even, I was like, we're going to get a flag on that?
No.
Because that's literally aiding and progressing
There
a player.
are rules that precede that. Elbows, knees, shoulders, hips, bodies, anything's on the
I
ground.
guess it's okay.
If you're on the ground, you're down. If you're not on the ground, you're not down.
You know, it would be a really good pro wrestling move to get somebody into the end zone
The
like
suplex.
that.
The body
Well,
to
that was
body
a belly to belly suplex that he did.
belly suplex.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm talking about a hip toss.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
a hip toss. You get a guy, you hook him over the arm and flip him over the top of everybody. Sort of like the same leap that you've seen guys make to score touchdowns, the big front flip. Except you yoke him, and he'll get 10 feet.
Okay,
I was pretty good at that.
I'm going to set up a few questions for you to try and get you to get into where I'm going here. So, is what they're doing formationally illegal? As of right now. If it was, there'd be penalty flags. Would there not be?
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Current rules in place, no offsides, no illegal formations, and too many guys on the line.
It's sort of the same thing as a field goal formation.
I don't even care what they call it or what the title is, tush push. Right now, they're not doing anything illegal within the rules of the league. That's one. Okay?
Right.
Number two, when you say the word copycat league, what's the first league that comes to mind when you say copycat?
NFL.
Okay.
All day long.
Which means what? Teams look at other teams.
Right.
They're doing it well, let's try this. They're doing it well, let's try this.
Yep.
So you're telling me that in a copycat league, okay, a term that's been designed for the league that we're talking about, that nobody's been able to copy this play?
Buffalo has been the one that's been the biggest copycat as far as copying the tush push.
Okay, so
They're
one
the
team,
biggest copycat.
so one other team has said, let's try this, and maybe they've had some success with it.
Yeah, there's been a few. I mean, hell, even the Miami Dolphins did it. The Miami Dolphins did it. They'd bring Durham Smythe into motion, the tight end into motion, and then he would stop behind the quarterback and then hit him in.
But my
and
point
push
is
him
that
across.
whatever,
So it's been done. By
they're not doing
Dolphins.
anything that nobody knows about.
Right.
And they're not breaking any rules.
Right.
But yet, the NFL has decided because the other teams can't keep up that they're going to go ahead and make it illegal. It seems
the
a little.
other teams have decided
Well,
since they can't keep
it
up.
seems a little bit authoritarian for me. It
All
seems
right,
a little
well,
bit dictatorish for me.
Here's the argument for altering it.
I don't agree.
Safety. You have to, as you see when they line up, everybody's lined up in field goal formation pretty much. Get low, 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 low. You're going to be fighting for that inch. Okay, get low. And the defense is lined up in the neutral zone because you see the helmets over the ball all the time. They're getting as close as they can. And the referees are even allowing that a little bit.
Trying to get a little bit of an advantage back to the defense.
Exactly.
I get it. Okay.
But now you're seeing lunatics like that kid from Washington who's just vaulting over the line and trying to, jump up. And once
AKA
again,
Palomalu.
or pull a sunset flip on the on the quarterback,
Okay,
the ball carrier.
fine.
But how you can completely neutralize the play is no blocking below the waist. No blocking below the waist. If you're not allowed to make contact below the waist with anything in your upper body or with your upper body, which would be a safety issue, same reason why that they have illegal contact or clipping rules now, where if there's an engaged lineman, you're not allowed to hit that lineman below the waist. You're not. You can engage him with another player and double team him, but you can't, from the waist down, you can't touch him.
Okay.
Okay, that keeps you from, cheap shots, keeps you from revenge or whatever. Blowing a guy's knee out because he's occupied in one end.
Well, you're defenseless.
Right.
And you're hitting a weak spot on
Right.
the athlete. It's perfect
Right.
sense. I get it.
So if you tell the offensive lineman can't hit below the waist, these guys are lined up 6 inches from the fucking ground with their face. There's no way. So they're literally trying to get underneath the guy in front of them.
I know how it works.
Okay, but
are people getting hurt? Like, have you seen anything about big? You're saying it's an
Not
injury.
yet.
Okay, not yet. So 2 years have gone by. Nobody's gotten hurt, and no, the league can't catch up.
If you say no contact beneath the waist on the line of scrimmage, no blocking beneath the waist on the line of scrimmage, the play's done. The play is neutralized. The play is completely neutralized. Then you can't do it. You just can't do it.
I don't understand why other teams have not been successful at this particular play.
Probably because they've been thinking,
be,
eventually we're going to bitch about it and get it canceled.
Well, but this seems to be a formational advantage as opposed to even personnel, design, ingenuity, creativity, athleticism. None of these stuff apply. Formation is what's causing the success of this play. And every team has 11 fucking bodies on the offense that can get themselves into that same chess piece board. This guy goes here, this guy goes here, this guy stands here, hike, touchdown. It's an authoritative move by the NFL because other teams in a copycat league cannot come up with a play to defend this play. And I have a problem with it. I have a problem with the ability of an organization or whatever it is to dictate something in this way because somebody does it better than you do it. Okay, that's not how it goes. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's a totally different argument than baseball. So if you had the best pitcher in baseball, and he was by far, let's say Ohtani, we find out in the next 2 years that he's 20% better than the next closest guy. Do we make him sit out a day? Because he's that much better than everybody else? I mean, how else do you try and control the environment like this when you're clearly come up with something within the rules? Now, different than the baseball bat because that's an equipment change. You haven't given the player with the ball a bigger helmet. You haven't given him shoes that are enabling him to run faster. No. It's a formational play. You put this guy here, you put this guy here.
With Ohtani in pitching, you have to take 2 pitches away from him.
It's just silly.
He has a two-finger fastball, a split-finger fastball, and a corkscrew slider that nobody can hit.
Yeah, well,
and if you wanted to make him mortal, you take those 2 pitches away from him.
He's going to be less of an impact as a pitcher as this goes on than a hitter. That I've said from day one. There are many other pitchers. The splinker now from Paul Skeens is the more popular pitch that people are now starting to get onto. But this is what happens. Something gets introduced to the sport, whatever the sport is. In baseball, it's a pitch. And then all of a sudden, people are like, holy, wow, that's a pretty cool pitch. And then 20 guys try it. 2 guys are good at it. And eventually, 1 keeps it in his arsenal.
Oh.
And then other teams will. But that's what happens. That's natural. Not everybody can do something as good as you. Okay, that's what makes you good. That's what makes you different. So if the Eagles have this tush-push thing, be the first defense to fucking figure it out so that the rest of the defenses can then figure it out. It's only a matter of time. The NFL is cutting corners. They really are. They're looking at this going, we don't have a solution. People are talking about it. It's a little scary. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. They're only going to get better. Well, let's give them a crutch. Let's create parity where there shouldn't be.
But the rest of the teams in the league haven't necessarily caught on. Or they don't care to.
Well, they should care to because they just won the Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and 7 or 8 of those touchdowns this year, I'm sure if they weren't tush push would have made a difference.
I agree.
Okay. So there's no argument.
All right. Good night, everybody.
I'm out. I'm done.
We're done.
My blood pressure.
We've solved everything.
160 over 120.
Jesus, are you going to be all right?
I
got a blood pressure cuff inside. If you
I already know what it is. It's high.
Let's see if you can hit high score.
It's high. So, again, it comes to. I just have little faith in people making decisions at this point in every aspect of my life, it seems. So maybe I'm the crazy one. But I don't have an issue with making things better through technology or making things better through rule changes or whatever the case may be. But there has to be enough smart people at that table. And it just seems to be that these days there's like 3 or 4 idiots and they're like, it's 11 o'clock, guys. Let's take this.
Well, listen, we couch certain rule changes in safety. Okay, a lot of rule changes that are made are for the sake of safety. Now we're seeing some rules changes are being made for the sake of aesthetics, time pacing, things like that.
Which I'm okay with.
which is fine.
I'm okay with.
But could you imagine if they went back to the bump and run? You went back to being able to maul wide receivers. Went back to being able to mangle a quarterback. You'd need 8 quarterbacks. Because why? Everybody's got bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah.
So you have to have some of these rules in place to slow down the human progress. Because the human progress, I'm very impressed. More so in our lifetime, okay? Whether it be through nutrition, science, definitely through sports science, through physiological science, through therapeutic science, okay? Humanity and sports in general, and athletics and sports in general, and human competition in general has improved drastically the last 30 years.
I agree.
Drastically.
And you want your best athletes
Okay.
on the field. You don't want your backups in there. You don't want.
But that's when you have to have these governing bodies that have to be the guardrails and keep the human side of the human competition in those guardrails. Because otherwise, then you let maniacs like me who say, "Let them all do steroids. Give me a mega Olympics." Like, well, what are a mega Olympics? You might say. Mega Olympics are, who cares what you take?
Who could lift a car?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what we'll do? We'll take away genders too. We'll just have everybody competing at the same time, and you'll see 6'4" women with mustaches and back hair, and they're winning the biathlon or whatever. I don't care. You want to go ahead
Literally.
and alter yourself to that point? Go ahead. That way, it's the Mega Olympics. You just go ahead and do what you want. High jump, 7 feet 2 inches is the record for the high jump. Now it's 9. Now it's 11 feet. Okay, and they're just standing there under the bar and they're just going, "Yeah, boom," and they're just. I don't care. Cool. It's entertaining. It's not real. I will give much more credence to the regular Olympics, where the regular people who are not taking steroids and they're not taking human growth hormone and they're not jacked up on Adderall the whole time. Okay, that's those people I would give more credence to. Now that doesn't mean that you're not going to get millions of people that are going to tune in to see a Summer Olympics between the Mega Olympic basketball team from Russia versus the Mega Olympic basketball team from Brazil, because it's going to be a 214 to 213 affair, okay, and it's just going to be insanity.
Or you'll have
and it's going to
bodies
be
everywhere.
very entertaining, but you have to take it as entertainment. You really do, and I totally agree that you have to have guardrails. Okay, you have to have them. You just do.
Well, the bigger reason I feel is because of the gambling aspect of it.
Sure, 100%.
Is because
that's
Vegas.
That's a big chunk.
The money.
Forget integrity.
The fantasy side of it.
The money.
The revenue that's
the
generated.
Money, first of all, the pyramid is money, gambling, revenue, people that pay for that revenue. Okay, you know, the people, the integrity of the game for the people that actually pay to generate that revenue and do that gambling and bring that money into the big top of the pyramid. So yes, but money is it, and everything else that is involved in money trickling down is it. 100%. So, you know, once again, that integrity all depends on what you want to do.
It has to be there for the gambling side of it, the integrity, because if you lose the integrity, then you lose the whole.
Well,
you know,
let's put it this way. This is how dangerous shit gets in athletic endeavors, in athletic entertainment. Okay? The WWE has a wellness program. You can be suspended for taking steroids or doing some sort of illicit drugs or by the way, I think they took the guardrails off of THC now.
Sure they
Everybody can get high in the WWE, but you can't do HGH and get huge like a freak anymore. You can't. You cannot. Okay, you got to have guardrails. Not only for, you know, your safety, but for the safety of the player who's actually using the drugs. because they're not going to put on the brakes.
How about this though? How about relatability? It's tough for the average athlete to relate to somebody who you're explaining.
Oh yeah, to
as
identify
what.
with other athletes. Oh yeah.
And then that takes away from that person's desire to become that athlete. So now all you're having is super athletes at some point, artificially inseminated, for lack of better terms. Super athletes eventually at some
genetic
point.
modification.
Generations down the line. It's a very, very slippery path.
Oh, I got a good question. Who, and we're just vamping and stretching right now until we get to 12, and then I'm just going to duck out of here and say, bye, see ya. Who was the first pro athlete that you identified with?
As a child?
As a child, as a young man, when it first happened?
It's got to be baseball related. Probably Mike Schmidt, Phillies fan. I was a Phillies fan.
Manly man.
So it was a Mike Schmidt guy.
Manly man.
Third base, hit a bunch of homers. Those guys were bigger than life.
His mustache is still playing AAA ball.
It could be. But so that sort of guy was who I identified with. It was usually just guys that were bigger than life, guys on my favorite sports teams, Terry Bradshaw, stuff like that.
Oh.
Growing up as a kid. But it's funny though, for me, I've never really been that guy. Like I've never really been super enamored by people, whether it's an athlete or a movie star or I don't know, somebody in politics. I've never been
Public figures have never impressed you.
Like I've never been like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? I admire and I appreciate.
I do that too. I don't chase autographs.
Yeah, no, I never have. And certainly as I've gotten older, it's like I think I've gotten, I don't want to say cynical, but more of that. Been like, you could be my son.
I see it as a matter of respect, because if I'm around some sort of an athlete or a public figure, a celebrity, and they want to be left alone, you can see they want to be left alone. Wearing a hat, wearing a hoodie, standing with all their friends. They're not making eye contact with anybody. Leave them the fuck alone.
No, I agree with that.
Okay, but
I've always chased the accomplishment as opposed to the person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Admire, like, oh my God, that guy just hit the ball 450 feet. Barry Bonds hit the ball. But
oh no, Mike Schmidt was a great role model. Oh my God.
But I don't like
leadership
him better than the next person.
Leadership, competitiveness, sportsman, excellence in performance, 100%.
I mean, we just talked about a story before we got on about Cameron Hayward, who he donated his entire bonus check last year.
Man of the year.
$6 million.
Just give it to him.
Various
Hasn't he won that like 3 times already?
I think he's won it twice.
And I've seen him in interviews. He's like, I've got a big enough house. I've got enough
he's
cars.
a super dude.
My whole family is comfortable.
Yeah. So that guy's a hero. That guy's a role model.
And he can't stand to see people in poverty.
Yeah. And he's a tremendous athlete. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
$6 million.
So it's like, okay, that guy should be the one that you're idolizing. That's the guy that you put on the pedestal. Not because he's a super athlete. So he happens to be both. Right. He happens to be a great guy and a super athlete. So I mean, it's for me. I've never chased the athlete so much. I chase the story. I chase the accomplishment. I appreciate the athlete, but I don't really have a high reverence.
All right, guess who mine was?
Probably Don Shula.
You're close.
Is it a Dolphin?
Yes, I'll give you that.
It's not like your Larry Zonka type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You got to understand, Larry Zonka at the time was pretty much the king of Miami. I mean, Bob Greasy was there, before him, and Bob Greasy was the wonder kid. I think he was the 2nd overall draft choice. He was the golden boy.
But people identified with Zonka though. They wanted to.
Oh my God, yeah. He was a partner in the Three Brothers nightclub with Joe Namath and one other guy. I forget who it was. Okay, but the Brothers Three is what they were. Basically a what do you call it? Musketeers themed type of a hipster fern bar, sports bar, lounge. So he was a constant on the nightlife. He was a constant on celebrity shows, and he was a pretty big guy as far as making charitable donations and appearances and things like that. And I mean, the dozen times that I met him, he was never an asshole to me. So yeah, I really admired the shit out of him. I mean, he was also an outdoorsman. He was a hunter. He was a fisher.
I remember some of the commercials,
which my father approved of. So it was he was a guy that and I also found out later on that he was a party animal, and he would he also he juggled 3-4 women at a time.
He was a man's man.
He was a man's man.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he didn't need security. He just walked out and go, "No, I'm good, thanks." And you'd be like, "Yikes!"
You know, it's funny. Generationally,
Godzilla.
that's what was important to us. What do these kids identify with today?
Eh,
Who's their man's man?
eh.
Part of the problem is they don't have the definition of what a man really is, or how important that is. I think that's the problem too. Is a disconnect.
Well, I think your boy Bryce in Philly.
Don't give me that man's man.
Bryce Harper. Well, he's the definition of a millennials man's man now. He is. Let's just face facts. He is.
He's matured a lot the last several years. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll give him
but he's also got a little bit of superstar diva mentality.
that'll never change.
That'll never change.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That makes him who he is. But you go and you see all of these guys, and people kind of blow it off when you see different leagues. They go, you know, the NHL Man of the Year and the NFL Man of the Year. It's like, yeah, but don't just focus on the guy that won. Look at the other 15, 16 players that were nominated. And those guys are doing work. Those ladies are doing work.
Yeah.
You know, in the WNBA, you got these women who don't make a fraction of what these pro men's leagues do. They're still donating time and money left and right.
Yeah.
They're doing work. So, you know, there's lots of role models for kids. Problem is, I don't think they're paying attention to them. And the unfortunate part is that the good people that are coming up in sports and that are coming up in front of the camera and that are coming up and that are role models, they missed the people of their generation. They missed the millennials. They missed the Zoomers.
There's less of an audience.
There's
I
less
think,
of an
now.
audience. They're not paying attention. Okay, but I will say this. The WNBA, by the way, don't strike, negotiate, get your money, but negotiate. The WNBA is not only reaching out and reaching a huge, wide swath of young girls, okay, not only to show them how to be how to persevere, how to manage adversity and deal with adversity, but, you know, just character role models, because you have a lot of these girls that are coming up out of the college ranks that are really, really good people, and they're really good representatives for the WNBA. So I know that they're reaching people. I know that a lot of the kids that are coming up in football are reaching people. A lot of the kids that are coming up through the NCAA basketball term, you see them on every night on camera. They pick that one guy, the captain of the team or whatever, and guess what? That kid's polished. That kid's poised. Yep. That kid goes to class. That kid knows the importance of what he's doing. So we're seeing some that are getting through. I'm just very hopeful that the younger, the generation past the Zoomers, little 6 and 7 year olds, they're paying attention and they see it. I'm hoping that they do that, and hopefully we see that. I mean, your daughter is one that paid attention, and she's turned out to be a pretty good kid, and, you know, a pretty good athlete and a responsible human being. You know, I don't fear for you and your future as much as I fear for some of my other friends with teenage daughters. But you're seeing these younger athletes. They look up to what they call the OGs. They're looking up to the OG, the veterans on the team, and generally those veterans on the team are quality human beings. So it's still being passed down within the team framework. I mean, why do you think that the Dolphins want Campbell back so much? They want Campbell back because he's a role model.
Locker room guy.
He's a locker room guy, the OG, but he's still a guy you can go out and have drinks with. Okay, but he's not going to be the guy that's going out and getting wasted. He's going to have somebody pick him up in a sedan. Okay, you know, you got to learn from them OGs. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't know.
Get off my lawn.
That baseball bat thing is pissing
He's
me
still
off.
going. I tried, folks. I tried to pull him out of it. I tried to pull him away from it.
Because I was thinking about it just now.
Letting it go.
Because when I get home, because when I get in the car, I'm gonna call the station as soon as I get in the car.
Son of a
And I'll be like, "What are we doing?" I'm like, "What are we doing right now with this?"
All right, let's get out of here. It's afternoon. People got shit to do. There's no football. When's football coming back?
Well, you said there's football this afternoon.
You did, yeah, but that's UFL, and I got to go look at a couple of condos with a client.
I'm gonna go play video games with my wife.
I hate you.
Yeah.
You got a wife to play video games with.
Yeah.
You got a wife that likes to play video games. That's awesome.
I don't know if she likes it yet. We'll see when we get there.
She'll do it and like it.
She doesn't even know we're going.
All right. All right. Say goodbye to the nice people.
Bye.
Is volleyball going to let us come back next week?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm good next week.
You're good next week?
Yeah, I'm good next
Can
week.
you share?
Yep.
Okay.
All good.
Then we'll see you next week here on the Gonzo Radio Sports Disc and the Gonzo Radio Network. Like, subscribe, and all that other stuff. Bye.